Welcome to GTC's Teaching Tidbits Blackboard Ultra. In this series, each episode we explore techniques, tips, practices, and ideas to expand your knowledge of and comfort with using Blackboard Ultra. I'm joined today by Lee McMinn from the Curriculum and Instructional Support Center, CISC. Welcome, Lee.
Thanks, Rachel. It's good to be here.
As always, it's a pleasure to have you here to share with us what is coming up. We're just into the new year, into February, and so Lee is here to tell us about the updates for February 2024. So Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm going to share my screen. So we have not a lot, but we have some good updates for February. Some of you will be happy to see some of the things that we have, and others may say we'll need to wait a little bit longer before we start using it, and you'll see why in just a moment. But the main things that we have that came out in February are forms, or I should say better known as surveys. And of course, that includes the Likert question type. We'll talk a little bit more about exactly what this means. We've got some rubric performance descriptions, persistence, basically, and I'll show you what that means. It's a whole lot of words, but it's really fairly simple. Some updates to send the reminders. You can now do audio and video feedback in the feedback area of assignments and tests. So if you want to give an audio description, you can do that up to 5 minutes. You can give feedback, which we strongly encourage if you do overrides or automatic zeros. All right, that's really important. And then there's some things you can do to get notifications as an instructor on some student alerts, and I'll show you what that is. So basically our forms, again, these are similar to surveys. You're going to create them just like you do a test. You're going to go to your content area. You're going to click on the little circle with the plus in whatever module or location in the content area you want to create that form. And then when the right panel pops up, you're going to see under the assessments, you're going to see the word form. So you would just click on that and you'll get the form settings that pop up, very, very similar to the test settings where you can set the due date. You can prohibit late submissions. Again, this is all in relation to the due date, prohibit new attempts and those sort of things. You can even make the forms gradable. Now that's really more like a complete incomplete. It's either a 100 or a 0 if they did it or they didn't. The reason is some instructors like to give points or count that as part of like extra credit or part of their course grade for participation, because many times the forms may be very important. Like if you're going to do clinicals or you're doing group work or things like that, you may need to answer that. Now, what faculty will be missing right now is the forms are not, I repeat, they are not anonymous. All right. That's coming in the next 1 to 3 months. You will be able to do anonymous submissions of forms, but right now they're not anonymous. So just be aware of that. So basically, this is what it looks like after you've put a form out there and what it looks like if it's graded. If you're looking at the list view, you can see that this student has a 100 as an override, and this Wilma Flintstone does not. She hasn't submitted. It's beyond the due date, so she gets an automatic 0. The other thing about it being graded is this grade always goes in as an override. So you, in this grading status, you'll always see X number of attempts to grade. If you allow them more than one attempt to do the survey, then that's what's going to show up. So there's a little kickback there. In the grid view, it looks like this. If you've allowed more than one submission, you'll see the new submission there. And again, if it's not graded, it'll just say submitted. The student view, when the student comes in, they see the survey. If it's not graded and they've done it, they'll see the green check mark. If you've graded it and they've done it, There's your grade that you put in, basically 100%, and you can give feedback, again, which we encourage. So if you're creating the question, when you go into the form, after it comes up, it's going to look just like a test. You're going to click the circle with the plus and the drop down, and you're going to select Likert question. Now you have all the other question types that you may see, like fill in the blank and multiple choice, multiple select, essay questions, those sort of thing. But we're just looking at the Likert. By default, it's going to have a scale range of 3, and you have the options down below. I'm going to choose 5. And then in option 1 and option 5, this is your far ends of the spectrum, if you will. You would put in whatever you want to call it. They suggest strongly agree or strongly disagree. I changed the text here just to show you that you can do either one, but either way, you have to type it in what that thing is. The example that you see over here is kind of grayed out. So it's really blank, but they're just giving you an example. And then once you save that question, it'll pop up and look like this, and you can see the range here that you have. All right, the other thing is rubric performance descriptions persist. Okay, that's a lot of words, I know. Basically, when you go into an assignment or a test, if it's graded with a rubric, all right, when you open up the rubric, most of the time the descriptions of your criteria are collapsed. That's the default. You can turn those on, and I've had many questions, how do you turn it on? There's a slider at the top when you're looking at the rubric that says show descriptions, and by default it's off. If you click that slider and turn it on, then you see the descriptions that you put in for each criteria. What this is saying is now this persists. So if you turn the descriptions on, when you go to the next student and you open up the rubric for that next student, the descriptions will stay displayed. You don't have to turn it on for every single time you go into it for this particular assignment. Now you go to another assignment that has a rubric, it'll be off by default. But once you turn it on for one student in that particular assignment, it carries through for the rest of them. So be aware of that. That's what that means. Send reminder updates. Basically, you can send reminders from the grid view or from the list view. If you're in the grid view, you would just click on the column header at the top. And when you click on it and the due date has not passed or whatnot, you'll see the send reminder here at the top. What the update has been is it hasn't been clear as about who exactly it will go to. Basically, you can see here on the left, the 3 points, that it will send a reminder if one, the student is available in the course. Before this update, it sent a reminder to everyone that didn't have a submission, including those that were no longer in the course. That's been fixed. They have not received an automatic 0. So if it's after the due date and you have turned on automatic 0s and you go to send a reminder, it will not send them to those that have any type of grade in for that item, even an automatic 0. And then you haven't given them a manual override. So if there's nothing in the grade column for that student, they will get the reminder. So just be aware of that. The audio video feedback in the feedback panel. This is on test. This is the overall feedback. This is on a test or an assignment. When you click to edit the feedback, you can type your text in, but you'll notice a new icon in the top right. It looks like I guess I'm going to say it looks like a video camera. You would click on that item, and when you do, you've seen this in original. This looks very similar to the same thing. This little window pops up, and it's the recording window. It has not started yet. Right now, I don't have it turned on to be a video. So when I click the start for this, the red button, it's just going to be an audio recording. If you want to do video, you would click on this little camera, and that would take the slash off the camera. So when you hit the start recording, it will be a video and audio. So once you click start or click the red dot, you're going to see this icon at the bottom. And again, I'm not doing video here. You can see the counter going. You will get a countdown, a 3-second countdown When you click the start, it'll do a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and then you're recording. So be sure you don't start talking before that countdown is completed. You have a maximum of 5 minutes. You can pause the recording if you need to, so you don't have a lot of dead space if you need to look through a note or something like that. And then, of course, you click the red button here with the circle and the square in it to stop the recording. When you stop the recording, you'll see something that looks like this. You can play it through and listen to it. If you're satisfied with it, you can click save and exit. If you're not satisfied with it, you can delete the recording and re-record, right? And then once you've completed the recording and it goes into the feedback box, it's going to look like this. Now, this red note is just for you, the instructor. Once you click Save Changes, that red note will disappear and it will look like this to the students. They can see that there's a recording in the feedback box, and all they have to do is click on the recording to play it, or click on this little icon to play it. The other thing is feedback on override and automatic zeros. This is looking at it from the grid view. It's very important that you give feedback, especially if you do an override or you have automatic zeros. All right, you can make a note to the student, and they can see that they have feedback. Explain to them maybe why they have an automatic zero. Explain to them why the grade is overridden. That's really important if you give extra credit points and there's no other indicator where those extra credit points come from. Because if these courses get audited by CISC, or if you have an accrediting committee or institution that may periodically check the courses, when they do a review, they want to know why. Why is the score different? So it's extremely important that you provide feedback. And so that's what this allows you to do. All you have to do in the grid view is click on the score and you'll see feedback at the top. Same thing if you're in the list view. You click on the little 3 dots, you choose feedback. It comes to a window like this. Type your feedback. Notice you can even still do recordings here. That's on any feedback. Save it and you're good to go. The last thing we're looking at here for February is a student alert notifications. We're all familiar with the activity stream. The activity stream is good for faculty too. It's not just for students. All right. You're notified about certain things going on. If you've had homework submissions, if you've had test submissions, if there's things that need to be graded, faculty are alerted to that as well. There is now a setting that you can do if you click to update your settings. It's just in the top right-hand corner. You click on the little gear wheel. You'll see this right panel that pops up under streaming notifications. I've kind of collapsed this and just consolidated this a little bit, but you'll see student alerts, and there's 5 different options there. Click the little arrow to pop that open, and when you do, and you open up the student alerts, I think by default the top 2 are checked. What you have are these bottom 3. Low overall grade. So if a student or a group of students have a very low overall grade, and you can set that limit, you'll get notified, hey, you've got 5 students that are below the 70% mark. Or if students miss due dates, all right, maybe an assignment just come up or an essay has just come up, you can check that off and you'll get an alert and it'll tell you X number of students have missed the due dates. And then the last access alert, you can set the number of days, let's say 7 or 6, you get an alert, hey, these X number of students have not accessed the course. That means they haven't gone into the course. That doesn't matter. It's just accessing going into the course. They haven't gone in the course for these number of days, and it'll, if it's beyond that number of day alert that you put in there. So you may want to then get in contact with those students, send them a message and say, hey, what's going on? Are you having problems? Those sort of things. So this can be very helpful in encouraging persistence, encouraging the students to participate in the course, making that individual contact with those students. So what's coming in March? Doesn't look like it a lot, but it's some big things. We're going to get a new AI design assistant. What this is going to let you do is it says just that, context picker for test generation. So what this means now, instead of just being able to type in something at the top and it look for that topic across the web, you will be able to, just like similar like you would do a course copy. You would be able to go to the content of the course and select items, and it will create questions based on those items you selected. All right. No due date assessment setting. You can take due dates off of assignments and tests right now. It's just not very clear. All you do is you go in and you highlight the due date in the due date box and you hit delete, and there's nothing there. But some people have complained that that wasn't obvious. People get a lot of questions. So what they're doing is they're adding a little check box right below the due date that says no due date. You check that off and it wipes out the due date for you. So there you go. The last used state of flexible grading, again, that's when you grade. Let's say you always want that right-hand panel popped open. Well, like we talked about the descriptions, not discussion descriptions, but the rubric descriptions, you can turn them on and it stays. This is going to be the same way. If you open up that right panel, when you go to the next student, that right panel will still be open. If you minimize the left panel, which is the student names, that'll stay minimized. You won't have to adjust that every time. Now, this is only per assignment. So when you go to a new assignment, pop open the panels and the settings you want to have open, and then it'll remember that as you grade every other student in there. Finally, we're getting gradebook item statistics that's coming back. That's exactly what we had in original. You click on and choose statistics, and bam, you've got it. Highest grade, lowest grade, average, median, those sort of things. How many are A's, how many are B's, and those sort of things. So announcement indicators, that means just like we have message indicators at the top, when you go into the course or students go into the course, if there's new announcements, there will be a little circled number beside the announcements heading at the top that tells them how many new announcements there that they haven't read. And then finally, and this is a big one, file size limits. We've encouraged you to not have large file sizes in your Blackboard courses. We're going to be able to set that limit, and we'll decide, talking with faculty senate and others, what that maximum limit should be. It will be a limit of 0 for videos and audio files. What does that mean? That just means you can't upload videos, and students will not be able to upload videos or audio files to a course. That will not affect that feedback video and audio. That's a separate thing. It's totally disjointed. But we're talking about you created a video using whatever recording and you try to load it, you're going to get a pop-up that says, sorry, that file type's not allowed. That's going to really help us out with file management. So anyway, that's what's coming in March, a little bit more detail than what we normally give, but those are the things that are coming. Remember, as always, this is our CISC team. We have our contact information here. We have access to our LibGuide. When you log into Blackboard and go to the institution page, that's the top thing you're going to see. We have a lot more information. We are updating that LibGuide almost daily. So that's where you're going to find a lot of help information as well. And that's pretty much our updates that we have so far. So stop. There we go.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Those are some great updates. I was very excited to hear about some of the new things, or what feel like new. Maybe I'm remembering them from original, but I especially was excited to see that feedback option for automatic zeros and for overriding a grade. I always have liked the idea of being able to document that in that way. So it's great to see that and see the audio and video feedback now there for us in Ultra. I know a lot of faculty are going to be jumping into using that right away and be very excited about it as well.
There's a lot of, and there's some other new things. Blackboard just had a roadmap, and we'll share that information with you in the next series. But there's a lot of good things coming in the next 3 to 6 months as well.
That's great. Yes, we will. The next episode that we release will be information about that most recent Blackboard roadmap. So stay tuned. The next episode will do a deeper dive into that with Lee sharing again what's to come in the next 3 to 6 months. And as Lee said, if you would like to continue the conversation with Lee or any member of CISC, please feel free to reach out. Lee's email is here on the screen, lee.mcminn@gvltec.edu. Rebecca Roth is also a regular in our series and also a great resource for Blackboard discussion and questions. So you've got her email, rebecca.roth@gvltec.edu. You can also email them at their department email, CISC staff@gvltec.edu. And as Lee mentioned, they have a LibGuide where anything you need, you can pretty much find there. You can find the link to that LibGuide in the description below the video, so you can get right to that LibGuide. Well, that's our teaching tidbit for this episode of Blackboard Ultra, and we will see you next time.